Happy Saturday. Here it is, literally raining cats and dogs in South Florida. So if you guys hear any loud booms, don't worry, I am safe. And I'm 13 feet above sea level, so I don't think I really have to worry about flooding. That being said, if you hear any crazy noises, I swear, that's what it is. All right, guys, we got PLL on deck today. If you guys have been seeing my socials, you guys know that I partnered with the Premier Cross League, and shout out to our producer, Dan Newbert, who has been so gracious in teaching me a new sport. That first game is 12:30 Eastern on ABC. We got the Water Dogs versus the Whip Snakes. And Dan and I, in true contrarian nature, we're taking the under 25.5 points. He told me he was afraid because it's a primetime game that we may see some points, but we got to go contrarian. This one is way too many points. A little overreaction week. You guys know that. We do that in the NFL all the time. On today's lineup, we got Ronald Cabang talking WNBA, Carmine Bianco with some NHL, and of course, some soccer. Andy, yep, he's going to give us some U.S. Open updates and, of course, some head-to-head matchups and maybe a couple extra bets to make for round 3 or 4. And then we're going to back clean up with Adam Trigger. He's got a play for you guys in the Mets-Padres game. And, of course, as always here on Last Call, we are going to take all of your chat room questions. So if you have a question for any one of our handicappers, drop it in the chat. Let us know. You like the show, you hate the show. Those comments are welcome as well. Again, guys, I am Kelly Stewart, and this is Last Call. Let's see what Cabang has got on deck for today in the WNBA.
Hey, how are you, Kelly?
Hey, good morning, Ronald. Welcome in. The WNBA, man, they've been in the news a lot, but that means they're getting more eyeballs. I wonder if that's actually translating to betting action. I've been kind of curious about that one, but we've seen some fireworks, and we'll leave it at that. There's some new heated rivalries and all the fun stuff going on there. We've got a handful of games today, but there's 2 that you want to hone in on, and I'm going to let you have the floor here. Let's start with the Suns versus the Wings.
Yeah, the Suns and the Wings. So these 2 teams here, I mean, obviously going in opposite directions here. The Sun 11-1 on the season, on a 2-game winning streak here. The Wings 3-8, and they've lost 6 in a row now. From a trend perspective, Wings actually struggle at home a lot. From the ATS, 0-4-1 at home so far this season. The Sun are 8-4 to the under so far this season, but 7-5 to the over. 8-4 to the under in the first half this season overall, but 7-5 to the over, meaning that the Sun usually start off pretty slow, then start to pick things up in the second half. The Wings, from a total perspective, 4-1 to the over at home, 5-2-1 to the over on the full game as a dog. So from a full game perspective, the trends kind of say go to the over. From a spread perspective, it seems like the Sun or the Wings are a team to fade when they're at home. But when we start to look at the the stats, things come together a little bit more, right? The Sun dead last in pace in the league, first in the league in defensive rating as well. That's the reason why a lot of their games tend to go under. And the Sun, they have a bunch of ways here to take advantage of this Wings team. The Wings are dead last in turnovers per game, while the Suns are first in forced turnovers per game. So that's one thing that they could do. They're going to be able to get those points off turnovers, and that correlates with the reason why they're first in the league in points off turnovers per game. And another thing, too, the Wings are 11th in defensive rebound rate, which is crazy because they have one of the top bigs in the league in Tierra McCowan. And then the Sun are 3rd in offensive rebound rate. And that's, if you look at the last matchup between these 2 teams, Alyssa Thomas had 9 rebounds, 14 assists, 15 points. So from a prop perspective, I would look towards her PRA against this team. I think from matchup wise, it just lines up with everything she does well. She'll grab a rebound. She'll be able to kick it out to Bonner or Harris or Carrington to shoot a 3. That's a rebound and an assist. All right there. If she gets a defensive rebound, she'll be able to push the pace and push it up in transition. And that's something that the Wings defend. They don't defend well at all either. So in all, I think the Sun are going to be able to score effectively in the paint and in the mid range for the most part. And again, that's a Alyssa Thomas range right there. So I think the Sun should be able to take care of business here offensively. The Wings gave up 90 plus in 3 of their last 4 games. So 2 things I can see here. I think the Sun can get up and over their team total, and I also think that they can cover the spread here at the 6.5. From a prop perspective, like I said, I think ATPRA would be something to go for.
Ronald Cabang, owner of the moneyballer.com. And that's where, of course, he gets a lot of his trends and angles. Ron, tell them about the Money Baller. I know it is still free to new users.
Yeah, it is still free to users until August, but for me, it's one thing that I use every single day when I do my handicapping, and it treated me well, right? MLB, WNBA, and NBA, I'm all profitable on the season, and it's really because of a site like the moneyballer.com. It has all the stats, all the trends, and it's all things that is matchup wise, right? A lot of people just kind of look at trends overall, but we're looking at stats against specific teams, how they do matchup wise. How does a team do 3-point shooting versus not 3-point? How they defend 3-point shooting, and all those little nuances that you look into the basketball game. But also in MLB, you have all these sabermetrics that you can look at. You can kind of filter down date wise, and it's all in a single page. So that's probably my favorite thing about it is everything is seen in a single page. You could actually look at it on your phone, and it's all visible there. You can handicap it on my phone. Like if you go on my Twitter account a couple of days ago, I handicapped the Mariners' first five on my phone within 3 minutes. It's something that's really awesome. Saves you a lot of time. You don't have to have like 10 pages up like you normally do when you handicap games. It's really all there, everything you need.
Yeah, great site. I like it as well, guys, because like Cabang says, sometimes you got a handicap on the go, and most of these other sites are not user friendly. Let's stick with the WNBA. Next game up, we've got the Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces. Aces, are they still the best team in the league, or do you think that has kind of started to pass them by midpoint of the season?
I mean, the record says they're not right. They're only 6-5 on the season, but they've been struggling with not having Chelsea Gray there, and she's that engine for that team. Also, like they're getting used to a couple new players. Their rotation's a lot different than last season. They picked up Tiffany Harris mid during the middle of the season, so she's getting used to the squad. They have Martin is a rookie who's getting used to the squad. Obviously, they're starting five now with Chelsea Gray kind of shifting back into the lineup. That's going to start to shore up a little bit. So I think there's a reason why they're still a favorite to win the championship with Chelsea Gray coming back. And I believe she's questionable today, so there's no real assurance that she's going to be able to play tonight. But they're facing a really tough Liberty team that's really playing well right now, 11-2 on the season, and they've won 7 in a row. Like I said, Aces. I think Chelsea Gray, coming back is going to be awesome. But the Aces are coming off a game where they did score 103 points. The problem is they gave up 99. Right, so their defense is really struggling right now, and that's something that's going to come together, as they continue to play together. But I think from a trend perspective, one thing that I'm looking at here, especially at home, the Aces are 0-6 against the spread in the first half, 1-5 against the spread in the full game at home. Also 1-4 ATS off of a win, so they tend to, following these great performances, they tend to struggle a little bit. From a total perspective, a lot of things really point towards the first half under. Liberty 5-1 to the first half under on the road, and off a win. Not only do they struggle on the spread, they actually struggle overall scoring points. Just 4-1 to the under in the first half for the Aces. From when we're looking at the stats, the Aces are first in the league in pace. Liberty first in the offensive rating, and Aces are second in the league in offensive rating. So it seems like a lot of points right there, right? But the total has jumped up a lot from the open. I think it's like 4 points from open up to like 173, 172 and a half. So that's the reason why I kind of struggle with whether or not I want to take the over. It's really hard to take, the worst possible number. But neither team forces turnovers at a high rate either. So these teams are going to have those chances, the opportunities to score. And they also get to the free throw line at a high rate. So, I mean, everything really points towards the over, even though the trends of the first half it points towards the under. But I think there's some opportunities here where the Liberty can take advantage. Aces are 11th in effective field goal percentage allowed, while the Liberty are second in the league. So I think that while they tend to not take the care of the ball as much as the Aces do, they're still going to be able to shoot at a high efficiency. And I think some people are going to look at the Liberty schedule as being really easy, and the reason why some of their stats are where they're at right now. But they've actually faced tougher defenses than the Aces so far this season and have been able to perform pretty well. So with the pace, with the Liberty's ability to score efficiently, one way to look at this would be to take the Liberty team total over.
All right, guys, if you have a WNBA question for Ronald Cabang, drop it in the chat. Now we're going to pivot to something that, is a couple of nights away, but it is game 5 of the NBA Finals. Look, I went to bed last night. Full disclosure, I had a long day. I was kind of checking the score. I didn't really watch the game. I said on Twitter after the Mavs lost game 3 in Dallas, said, oh, come on. Are we going to get sweeps in the NHL and the NBA? I kind of had a feeling it might be a gentleman's sweep, but last night, just based on the box score alone, it looked like Boston was very disinterested, or maybe they'd rather hoist the trophy when they get back home. Luka finally maybe played a little bit of defense. Maybe he read some of those press clippings, or maybe he listened to a couple of those Brian Kilmeade interviews, just absolutely eviscerating him.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was yeah. I think this game here yesterday. So I've been waiting for that blow up by Dallas, right? Offensively, I tried to take their team total over in game 2 and game 3, and they really killed me. The thing is, they're getting those opportunities. They just weren't making them, right? But in this instance, like you said, there may be some sort of disinterest from the Boston team to close it out. But why wouldn't you want to try to get a sweep, right? Like to be able to go through the whole playoffs and then win in the championship by a sweep, that kind of just shores up your legacy, right? So I feel like they were actually really trying, and Dallas really just came out and played well, extremely well. But I mean, and if you look at it from, conspiracy theory or whatever, we know who the refs were yesterday. A lot of people were already talking about it before the game. The extender was there, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things to think about in this game here specifically, but I mean, you don't want to give a team like Dallas, Luka and Kyrie, any type of momentum. So, I mean, as much as it seems like they may have been disinterested, I just feel like Dallas came out with so much, energy, and the thing is too, if you watch the game, Luka didn't seem to be that guy that was in the first 3 games where he was complaining every time he got touched. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Coach Kidd talked to him about it, and there's a big difference with being able to focus in on the game in a specific way, not really focusing in on trying to get help from the refs and all that stuff, and just being able to do what you can do. But also, the role players being able to step up and do their thing too. So to gain that type of trust, to gain that type of momentum, that's not what you want to give Dallas here in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. WagerTalk on screen currently 209.5. Boston is 6.5 point favorites. Do you have a lean for Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, I think there's going to be some momentum that Dallas is going to bring over. Is that going to be enough to win the game? I'm not sure, but I think that is going to be a tight game. So I would actually look towards the points with Dallas here. And I mean, offensively, if that translates over to moving over to Boston, this could be a situation where we see another overtime game too. For Dallas specifically, I think a Dallas team total over. If they figured out what they needed to get their offense going, I can see them continuing to get some success in the offense, and then wait to see if Boston kind of makes any types of adjustments, because I'm not sure. With KP sort of being able to be available in that game, and then come into this game, is it going to be in the same status and stuff like that? So there's a lot of unknowns right now, but right now, if I was to look at it, based on the current numbers and how things are going, I would say take the Dallas and the points.
All right, Dallas plus the 6.5 for Cabang is his lean on Monday night. Said we may see. Kelly, how many days until football? I believe it is 69, Eric. I didn't write up a tweet yet because I'm here. But thanks for ruining it for us. All jokes aside, Stephen Bellhouse, one question here for Cabang. This is kind of a lazy one, Stephen. I need a little bit more than just chalk eating weasel questions. He wants to know what your favorite WNBA money line bet is. So who do you think's just going to win? Just give me a winner, Cabang. I don't care about the spread.
I mean, it would be the Sun for me if it's just a money line bet. But there are 6.5 favorites, so I mean, it's kind of like I talked about it. I mean, I think they have the edge offensively and defensively. They should be able to win this one by margin, in my opinion. So, yeah, that would be the best money line bet for me.
All right, chalk eating weasels in the chat today are no more. Ronald Cabang. Thank you as always. It's always been a pleasure. Yeah, you know me. I do the opposite kind of parlays, so I always like to give people crap for that. At UCapper on social media, themoneyballer.com. Ronald Cabang, we'll see you later. Let's bring in Carmine Bianco, guys. We're going to talk some Game 4, of course, and maybe a little Euros. If you guys have not seen Carmine and I's Euro video, it is up on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. He gives out, you know what, the opposite of chalk eating weasels. We talk about some chalk, and there's a couple chalk plays, but there's a 12-1 in there, 8-1 in there. It's kind of speaking my language. You guys can go over to WagerTalk.com and check that one out. All right, Carm. I'm here to keep it simple, Steven said. I get it. Okay, Carm. I laughed about it with Cabang. I tweeted after... So I went to bed the other night. I've been doing a new morning show for Outkick, so I have to be up at like 5:30. I am not a morning person if you guys know me at all. I'm just not. So I was like, all right, it's 4-1. I'm going to bed. Like the Oilers just packed it in. Panthers, they're going to win the whole thing. I don't care. I'm going to sleep. And then I woke up and said, oh, the Oilers made a little bit of a push there late in the second period and the third period. Carmine, do the Oilers have what it takes to come back from a 3-0 deficit?
Like it's like in the NFL when a team's up by like 25 and they get a couple of garbage time TDs to make the score look a little more attractive. The Oilers have been outplayed in this series. Like Florida's just playing so well. I'm not even going to watch the game tonight. I'm going to go in downtown Toronto. I'm going to go watch Toronto FC soccer game. I'm going to record the game or PVR it and then just watch the Stanley Cup celebration because, quite honestly, it should end tonight. Florida's been the better team, and they're just a team of destiny right now. And this is coming from someone. I picked the Oilers to win this series and win the cup, and that prediction failed miserably. But
yeah, I mean, like.
But
Connor McDavid is the best player, but Florida, I'm getting made fun of by my friend group right now. They're texting me because they're watching the show. They said, Kelly, they've been doing this to me for weeks. Kelly, remember when you told us in February that Florida was probably going to win the cup and you bet $0 American dollars on them to do so? And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I hate that. Like, I just was watching the game just casually. And I was like, this team's going to win the freaking Stanley Cup. Like, there was no handicap. There was no analysis. It was just purely an eye test. And now here we are. They have been so dominant. What is so dominant about this team?
Yeah. It's their ability to absolutely shut down the best players on each team that they faced. It is their defensemen pitch into the neutral zone. They get sticks on pucks. And if you look at the power play, and specifically, and I'm going to get to something else, but the Oilers finished off Dallas by scoring 4 power play goals in the last 2 games of that series, and they came in with the best power play in the playoffs at 37%. And I think they're 0-5 or 0-5 or 0-6 through the 3 games. It is because the Florida on the power play, Florida is getting to their defensemen or getting to their point men, and forcing them to move the puck quickly. So the Oilers love to cycle, love to take their time on the power play, find the man, and they haven't been able to do that. You look at how they've shut down people, and you look at their first series against Tampa Bay, the opening round series. Only Stamkos for Tampa did anything, scored 5 goals, 3 of them on the power play. They completely shut down Kucherov, who was their best player, 0 goals in that series. Hedman had 1. Then they play the Boston Bruins, and Marchand and Pastrnak combined get 1 goal the whole series. When you move on to the Rangers, Zibanejad, Panarin, Trocheck. Their 3 best players coming off of winning the President's Trophy. They combined for 3 goals, and 2 of them were by Trocheck. Zibanejad, 0 goals. Panarin 1 in the final game. And then the Oilers, Draisaitl, McDavid, Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman, who has 14 or 15 goals coming into this series. They have a combined 0 goals through 3 games and only 4 goals for the team in total in 3 games. Florida's completely shut them down. I wouldn't, Cal. We always love that the plus money plays. They're even money to win tonight. The Oilers are still favored at -120. You have to kind of do that. And I know the thought process for a lot of people is much like the NBA one. They're going to win 1 game, and it's going to go back to like Boston, or it's going to go back to Florida, and the championships will be decided on home ice. Florida just wants to win it tonight. They want to end this one tonight, and you're getting even money for them for a team that's dominated the whole series to do it once again and win this one tonight. I would probably take, if you're looking into like props and not player props, but take Florida on the puck line. -1.5, you're going to get plus money. You could even take -2.5 for Florida tonight to win by 3 goals. Plus is plus 435 for Florida to win by -2.5. Remember what happened in last year's final game of the Stanley Cup? Florida lost at home 9-2. It happens, guys. Blowouts happen in the NHL, and it could very well happen tonight again with this Florida team.
Yeah, I kind of have some concerns. So game 1, I had some friends said, "Hey, what do you like?" And I said, I kind of lean towards the over tonight. I could see it, being a lot of goals, and Florida did their part and the Oilers did not. 5.5 has been the total every game so far in the Stanley Cup final. What are your thoughts on the total?
It's an elimination game, and Andrew and I always talk about like how elimination games are normally high scoring games. It's one of the ones where you're going to see if the Oilers are down. They're going to pull their goalie with, and they did it in the last game with down 3 goals. They pulled their goalie with 5.5 or 6 minutes left in the game. When you have the under and the other team pulls their goalie with 6 minutes left, you are just cringing at the TV, watching it, hoping it doesn't happen, but it normally does. And that's how the Oilers, they got one. They got one that way with their goalie pulled, and then they got another one after that. The empty netters will always kill you in the third period. I would lean to the over here just because Florida could play a loose game, but the Oilers are going to go all out tonight. Does that mean that they score? No, it doesn't. But I think we see another entertaining game with some goals in it. But I'm still leaning the way of Florida as the better option than the total.
All right, Carm, we're going to get into the Euro Cup. But first, what do you have over on WagerTalk.com?
Yes, so a couple games. One of them going at noon, Spain and Croatia, and then Italy and Albania at 3:00. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Kelly, I'm going to Vegas for the Euros. I leave on Tuesday. I have my Italian jersey, my Italian flag, and my Roman helmet. Kelly, I would put it on the show if you asked me to. It's right on my desk here. I'm walking into Circa
well, now
with
you
a
have
Roman
to.
helmet.
Whoa, now you have to. This is not like, you can't
All right.
say you're going to, I'll do this, and then like say how you have to ask me. You just got to put it on. Let's see this Roman helmet.
There you
Oh
go.
my God.
There you go. I've got the Roman helmet.
Okay, so you're going to be wandering around the sports book for the Euros in your Italy jersey and your Roman helmet. Okay.
And my Italian flag. I was there. I was there in 2021, and I was there for the finals, Italy and England. And man, did I get so much heat from the 3 Lion fans, the England fans. But in the end, we all shared some beers. I consoled them as Italy hoisted the Euro trophy in winning in penalty kicks. So, but to get back to your question, so 3 plays up still if you get the 1 day all access, or the video that Kelly and I put out, there's a promo in there, and it's still going to be up for a few more days. It's the complete summer tournament package. The Euros are going on right now. Next Friday, the Copa America, which takes place in the U.S. for the first time, and opens on the 20th, Argentina in Canada at Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta. It's going to be full, 80,000 plus fans in that stadium watching that one. All the tournament plays for these two tournaments, and then the League's Cup. As these two tournaments wind down, all the MLS club teams and all the MLS club teams play in a tournament of their own in a World Cup style format. So 3 tournaments, $129 to get every single play. And the Euro started yesterday, but we're off to a 3-0 start. 2-0 this morning and 1-0 yesterday. So let's just keep it rolling.
You love to hear that. Off to a hot start in, we'll call it the other football. I still can't say football. It's driving me nuts. We've got a couple of questions from Benny and Joshua we'll get to. But first, I wanted to tie a bow on this question from Richard Lockhart. So, Carmine, you mentioned the spread tonight, which puck line, technically, in hockey. 1.5, yes. 2.5, big time plus money. But Richard wants to know, all right, which is better? Which has actual plus EV value here? Florida plus the, Florida even money, essentially, because right now on the WagerTalk odds screen, it is Oilers hitting up to as high as minus 120.
Yes, I'm looking at, because I see what you're seeing there. I'm just looking to see on DK to see what the proper line is as far as the spread goes. If you bear with me 1 second, I will find it on there. It's not always it's always a little tougher to find it on theirs. But if you were to take the Florida Panthers tonight and lay the puck line, you're getting even money on them to win outright. If you're taking Florida on the puck line and you're laying 1.5 goals, so whether you need the empty net goal or not, remains to be seen. You're getting plus 220 on your money, Kelly, laying 1.5 goals, and you're getting plus 420 if you're laying 2.5. The 2.5 is a lot tougher to get there, of course. But the 1.5 can get there, and especially in closeout games and elimination games. If Florida is the better team, and if you got the lead going into the third period, the Oilers are going to pull their goalie with at least 3 to 4 minutes left if they're down a goal. And that's where the empty netters come from. So with that said, maybe just split a couple units. Take one on Florida, even money, and take one on Florida minus 1.5 plus 220.
Oh, very good. I think Dave Koken taught me how to bet like that, if I remember correctly. Shout out to Dave. I don't think he's in the chat hanging out with us, but he had me do that with baseball when I was first learning how to do baseball. All right, you bet some on the money line and then some on the run line. Kind of give it a split bet there. Okay, we've got questions in the chat from Benny and Joshua, and they both want to talk about the same 2 games. So first, we're going to hit Spain-Croatia. Benny likes both teams to score. And Joshua says Spain minus 110 is suspect. Thoughts on the draw, Carmine?
Well, here's the thing, and this is going back to, I get it sounds like it's suspect, but this is the group of death. Group B, Spain, Croatia, Italy, and then Albania, who should close out the group and finish 4th in it in all likelihood. And on match day 1s, games tend to be a little tighter. Teams don't want to drop all 3 points, on match day 1 and be chasing it. Top 2 teams advance into the knockout stages. The 4 of the 6 third place teams, for the best 6 third place teams, will get in as well too. But Croatia is a team that clients and I talked about it. I've made money on them since 2018. I went to Vegas, recorded a video at the PBS studios with Marco, and said Croatia 40-1. We're going to make a deep run in that tournament. I had so many people troll me, even Croatians trolled me, saying you're nuts. Our team isn't that good. Croatia made it to the finals and eventually losing to France in the finals. But at 40-1, you made money because there's plenty of opportunities to hedge out there. Croatia then finishes 3rd in the 2022 World Cup. That was won by Argentina. Last year in the Nations League final, these 2 teams met, Spain and Croatia, 0-0, 0-0, as they say. After 90 minutes, and then it goes to penalty kicks, and Spain wins it in penalty kicks. But I will say this, Kelly, in the 2021 Euros, these teams met in the round of 16 in the knockout stages, one of the most exciting games of the Euros. Spain winning 3-1. Croatia scores 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of that game, ties it up at 3-3, sends it to extra time, where Spain eventually score 2 and win 5-3. These teams can score goals. I think both of them to score is a good bet. You're getting it at minus 110. I think I like that price. As far as Spain being minus 110 and sounding like a fishy line, it really isn't, just because Croatia has been a good team over the years. They're a solid team, and it's probably the last kick at the can for a lot of their players, who will, a lot of the generational talent who will be playing their final tournament for Croatia. So they don't want to go out like a lamb. They want to go out like a bear. I think is that the right adage for it? So I expect Croatia to play extremely well today against Spain.
Don't ask me about soccer adages. I don't know. I've heard some really funny, goofy ones.
Well, you know how to do hard hands. So you know how to do hard hands. There you go.
That was
I think it's lions and
really
lambs, Carm. Like a lion,
lions and
like a
lamb.
lamb. I don't know where the bear came from.
I didn't even know what he was trying to get at. That is a traditional saying, but that's funny. Carmine, let's pivot to Italy, Albania. So the same two guys that had questions about Spain, Croatia. Betty wants to know Italy to win and under 3.5 goals. And Joshua says, Italy, Albania, do you like the under or 1-0 Italy? Seems like both guys really like the under here, and that kind of concerns me.
Yeah, I think the thing here is this Italian team is now managed new manager Roberto Mancini, who put together that 33 or 35 game unbeaten run by Italy, and then took them into the Euros and won the Euros with them. They caught lightning in a bottle, and they played extremely well and won it. And we talked about that on the preview show we did, Kelly, for the 2021 video, where I said Italy at 12-1 was a good bet to win it. I don't think Italy is winning this year's Euros. You know who I picked to win this year's Euros. You guys should really watch that video and give us a like and some views to find out who we took in that one. But this Italian team is now, Luca Spalletta is the manager of this team. He's got them playing pretty much the same formation, but playing a little more offensive. The one question mark for the Italians coming into this tournament, and one of the reasons why I did not pick them to win this tournament, is the fact that where is the scoring going to come from? They aren't a team that are going to win games by 3-0, 4-0 like Spain does to a lot of the lesser teams, or like Germany did to Scotland yesterday. They grind out those 1-0, 2-0 victories, and they're sort of happy with it. We'll see what happens with Albania today. People write off Albania because they're like they're not really a football-y nation. Well, they are. You just don't hear about them like you do Germany, France, Spain, Netherlands, Italy, and so on and so forth. But they had a great qualifying, and they're here. So they're gonna try and do something today. I just don't think they can score against the Italians. They still have a very good defense and a very good midfield.
As an Italy fan, they might upset you guys. I mean, they're sizable underdogs, but is there like a weird uneasy because like everybody's overlooking Albania?
No, I picked them to finish 4th in the group because I think ultimately that's where they finish. The one thing, like I said, the one thing about match day ones, the first matches of every single group is the games tend to be a lot tighter. Teams don't want to. They want to at least get a point at the very least out of their first game, instead of chasing points and being in must-win situations going into game 2 and game 3. It's the reverse here for Italy. Italy knows with Spain up next and then Croatia to close out on the 20th and 24th that they need 3 points from this game. It's where the scoring is going to come from. And I think it's going to come from, and you guys can look at the goal scoring prop for today for Italy at Gianluca Scamacca. He is a player who plays for Atalanta. He spent a brief time in the Premier League, did not do well. I believe it was at West Ham. Came back to Italy, Atalanta, scored 19 goals and led them to a victory in the Europa League final, where they beat Bayer Leverkusen, who went a full season without losing a single game, only to lose in the cup final against Atalanta 3-0. So he's the guy who's going to score for them. They need to get him the ball. He's center forward. And if they can get it to him today and he can score, I would say Italy, exact score 2-0 plus 350.
Ooh, exact score plus 350. Carmine, that sounds like fun. Carmine Bianco at Carmine Bianco WT on social channels. Again, go over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Check out our video on the Euros. Maybe get yourself a couple extra bets over on WagerTalk.com. From Carmine, starting off the season hot, 2-0. Carmine, we'll see you next week. Let's bring in Andy Lang. Guys, if you have a question for Andy, we're going to talk some UFC. And, of course, some U.S. Open. Andy, I got to start with this. I was perusing the internet this morning while I was waiting to log on, and I saw this tweet from Max Homa. And I love Max. Like, Max, one of my favorite golfers, great, hilarious guy. And I had to get your reaction on this just because he's like, the moment I wake up on a Saturday after missing the cut, right? That's got to suck. I root for the course to become impossible so I can laugh at all the stupid players who whoop my ass. I shot 6 over and will shamelessly be this gift all weekend. It's like kind of funny because, yeah, like it's got to be a little demoralizing not to make the cut, especially at the U.S. Open. But also it's a U.S. Open. It is tough.
Yeah. Listen, Max Homa has not been playing very good golf. Like he is. This is not the first time he's missed the cut this year. He's done a great job marketing himself and being the likable guy that, like you said, everyone loves him. But he said that he geared his entire year around the Masters. And he worked really, really hard, performed great at the Masters, finished tied third, was in the mix the whole time. But since then, 55th the next week, he had an 8th place finish at the Wells Fargo, but 35th at the PGA Championship, miscut, 22nd, miscut. Got a little letdown from Max. I'm kind of not surprised. I shouldn't say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised he didn't play well. I'm pretty surprised he missed the cut. But this course is it's gobbling up players. I've been watching it all morning, Kelly, and I think this afternoon is carnage. I think there's going to be a big shift on the leaderboard because the morning guys kind of have the course that's a little bit softer. But I'm watching right now, and it's starting to dry out. These guys that are teeing off in a couple hours, it's going to be like putting on a parking lot. Like it's like putting on a concrete sidewalk.
Yeah.
These greens are just ridiculous. Kelly, they came out this morning to water the greens, and the crowd started booing. They're like, stop putting water. We like watching these guys putt the ball off the green and such. So yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride for the rest of the day and tomorrow as well.
All right, guys. Well, if you have a question for Andy, as always, drop it in the chat. Andy's been doing a lot of really hard work over on the WagerTalk Instagram channel. So if you guys are not following us on Instagram at WagerTalk, at Andy Lang Bets, almost every day, Andy's got a free play up over there. And I usually don't see him anywhere else. So if you're not following him on Instagram, you should probably do so. All right, Andy, you have a play for today that you're so generously going to give out. And I went to read it, and then I said, wait a minute, what is the number? And you chimed back in and said, okay, I changed my golf play for today. Let's hear
Yes. Okay, well, we got a couple. Let's do a head-to-head real quick, and you're getting really good money on Steven Yeager. Steven Yeager plus 125 against Sam Burns. I like fading golfers when they have like an amazingly good round, like just a stunningly good round. And Sam Burns shot 67 yesterday. That was almost best round of the day. But in round one, he shot 73. I think that's kind of a little bit more of what we're going to see from Sam Burns. Steven Yeager, I like consistency, and he shot 70 and 70 the last couple of days. So you've gotten a real high and a real low on Sam Burns. And when you look at some of the stats here, Burns is putting absolutely lights out, plus 1.67 strokes gained putting. That's like one of the best in the field in this tournament. And I just don't think it continues today with these greens. I think he regresses back, and you're getting a great number here because he played so well yesterday. This is a great spot. Whenever you see these guys, it's just like they have a not so good round one, and then all of a sudden they just hit a bunch of long putts and have a crazy round two. it's pretty good to come back and fade him the next time. So we're fading Sam Burns, a really, really nice plus 125.
Okay. Any more head-to-heads before you tell me why you changed golfers this morning? I got to hear the rationale behind that, because sometimes, and we can get into it from a handicapping perspective, it's like think long, think wrong. And I never really like to change plays if I'm like, this is my best bet. And granted, unless there's some kind of crazy news, right? We find out about an injury or so forth.
I'm honest with you, so I'm honest with the viewers. The original guy that I had to play under, he just teed off, and I didn't realize I was third on the show, so I couldn't give out the play in time.
I thought maybe you. I'm sorry, Andy. I thought maybe you had some great insight. Like, I got a text. This guy's girlfriend just sent him a bitchy message at 7 a.m. and he's heartbroken. Or, hey, this guy's no longer getting a divorce. Got it. You are realizing that we should have just said, hey, let me go first. My play's teeing off at 11:15. Oh, Andy. This is why we love Andy. Because he's just like, this is what it is, guys.
I was like, this is a great play for the live viewers. Go log in, get a bet in right as the guy's teeing off. And then I was like, nope, not going to be on the show in time. Better. So, all right, we talked about how this course is going to be really, really difficult later. And so I'm looking at these individual round scores to go over. And I want most of the scores that they have listed are over under 72.5. Kelly, that's +2. They're expecting these guys to shoot over par. So what I'm doing is I'm hoping to get a good number on a big name guy over 71.5. And we got it with Rory McIlroy. So Rory McIlroy would need to shoot +2 or worse in the third round, and I think he's going to. He is another guy that had a really good first round and then kind of slipped back to the field. He shot 65 on the first day, and then yesterday in tough conditions he shot 72. So this over would have hit yesterday, and you're getting even money, and the greens are faster today. Some of the pin locations are tougher today, and like I said, this is kind of one of those the eye test. I like to bet on the afternoon guys if I can watch in the morning and get a good read on how the course is getting. And I think in about an hour, this course is just going to be an absolute nightmare. So these guys can't get the ball to stop on portions of the green. Even chipping, you chip the ball up, and it just rolls all the way past the hole and off the green into a bunker. And when you only need 2 over at a U.S. Open, you only need 1 or 2 bad holes. So I was on WagerTalk today on Friday, gave out Sung Jae Im to shoot over 2. He shot like +5 yesterday. So fading these afternoon guys on the individual round scores is a good one.
You know what? You know why he did that? Because I was really struggling for my Splash Sports lineup for my U.S. Open. Because you know it's tiers. Yeah, let's not talk about it. It's hard when you get to tier 5 and 6. It's really hard, and you can't use the guys that you've used in the other majors so far. So I'm going, oh, come on! I got like 3 guys left. I'm like, all right. Sung Jae Im. Just at that point, you're just like guessing, at least for me. So naturally, I didn't see that he shot a +5. But thanks for ruining my day, Andy. If you guys have a question for Andy, drop it in the chat. UFC, golf, whatever, prop bets. Yeah, Andy, take it away. Give me some more U.S. Open bets that you have. Teeing off what? 14 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through some of these guys on the individual rounds today. I mean, the leaders, Patrick Cantlay is a guy I might look to fade a little bit. He had an insane round 1 and then started to come back to the field a little bit. And he's a guy that's had a miserable year. He's been a great fade. So he's over 72.5. So again, you got to get to, that's 3 over. Can he do it? Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Hideki Matsuyama is a guy that I picked in my one and done league, and he had a great second round. He had low round yesterday, but the books aren't being fooled by it. They have him over 72.5. And if you want to go up to the leaderboard and go up to the very top, Ludwig Abear and Bryson DeChambeau. Kelly, this is how hard that the course is playing. The books have the leaders at 72.5. The leaders they're predicting to score over par. So I think if you sprinkle several of these guys over their individual round score in round 3, you're going to come out ahead. Like just pick like 4 of them. You're probably going to go 3-1. I'd start with Rory McIlroy maybe Tony Finau, but Patrick Cantlay I'd throw in there. And it's hard to fade Bryson or Ludwig. They've been playing so good this week, but a couple of them have had some deep chip-ins that I don't expect to continue. So I'd pick one of those guys and fade him. I guess I would lean Ludwig Aber. I'm not sure what he's doing is completely sustainable. Playing amazing, but not sure it continues.
Since we're in the trust tree, I was wrong. I had Siwoo Kim.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yes, I'll take
Kelly
it.
gets, Kelly gets all the Asian golfers confused.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, come on.
They're all
Andy.
the same to Kelly.
No, you know what it is? It's because I have 6 different freaking lineups. You want to see that was the pretty one? Okay, this one I have Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, Wyndham Clark, Siwoo Kim, and then obviously Dustin Johnson was my tier 5, Justin Rose. So those guys were garbage. That one looks good. I got 4 guys in the money. Look at this. This one, you ready for this one? This one is woohoo! I don't know if besides Xander Schauffele, if I had anybody make the cut. Xander Schauffele, Max Homa plus 22, Matt Fitzpatrick plus 12, Eric Van Rooyen plus 24. Like, have you seen a worse lineup set? So, in fairness, I have like 6. You know me, they're $25 entries, $10 entries, $30, whatever. So I just am like, all right, give me $100 worth or $200 worth, and then I go, wait a minute, there's too many options, and then I don't text you or ask anybody else who's really well versed in golf because I have too much pride.
Yeah, Matthew Fitzpatrick made the cut, but he's blowing up.
Kim confused because I actually know the difference between the two.
Listen, they're easy to confuse because you have Tom Kim, Sung Jae Im, Siwoo Kim, SH Kim. Like they're like when you're reading the names, yes, it is easy to. But it was
just
your
more
boy Matt.
So that I forgot who I actually played because I was like, well, I'm not going to win, so it doesn't matter. Why check in?
Well, your boy Matthew Fitzpatrick, he did make the cut, but he's been blowing up. Matthew Fitzpatrick's just killing your lineup right now. +7 through 11 holes today, so he likes to do that.
Joy.
But, I mean, just I'm looking at these scores, Kelly. These +7, +6, +5, +4 through 7 holes, +3 through 9 holes, +3 through 10 holes. That's what's happening to these morning guys who have the easier course. So I think it's going to be a brutal day for the afternoon guys.
Trig's going to be very upset. He's on last, and I have a hard out at noon. So you and I.
Let's get Trig on.
Here. No, you and I are going to wrap it up. Anything? I didn't see any questions from our audience. I apologize if I missed anything. Andy, anything you'd like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, we got one UFC best bet that is up, coming off a really, really nice 2-0 night in PFL on Thursday. So looking for the clean sweep. And Boss in the chat asked about lacrosse plays. We do have 2 official lacrosse plays, so I went ahead and attached those lacrosse plays to the UFC best bet. So
I've been doing lacrosse stuff, and you do lacrosse, and we haven't been conversing?
We have the same source, Kelly. We're getting the same plays. Make no mistake. What you're saying on your videos is what is in my write-ups.
Whoa. I just want to say this. These are my plays with their information, and then me asking 44,000 questions to back my play up because I am still very much so learning. Okay. Maybe that's why you called me like 8 times this summer and I just never returned anybody's call.
All I know is both of you are doing well. All I know is both of you are doing well. That's all I'm saying.
We're picking winners. 3-1 last week. Andy's got 2 PLL plays up on his page on WagerTalk, WT.buzz/AL. At Bump Sports on Twitter, at Andy Ling Bets on Instagram. Andy, I adore you. I cannot wait for Bet On It and all of the prop bets. 69 days until college starts. So I think it's like 11 days after that or something ridiculous. The NFL season starts. We'll be back with Bet On It, though, in early August. Okay, let's bring in Adam Trigger to talk some baseball. I'm going to take a nap while he does that. Because we all know how I feel about baseball, Adam. That's why I'm doing the PLL.
I don't believe you have somewhere you have to be at 12:05, but that's okay. If you have a hard out at noon, here's what we should do, Kelly. Let the chat fire off questions. I'll answer any game. I haven't put one up yet for today, but I'm 15-2 in my last 17 baseball plays, so I'm seeing it well.
Love that.
Fire away. I'll talk about any game on the board. Doesn't matter. Fire away. What do you want to know about?
So Guys, drop your questions in the chat for Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI over on social media.
I'll
We
start
got
with
one
though. Guardians
Nope,
Jays. So
Yep. John Shellhouse wants to know Guardians Jays. Fire away, guys.
So I don't love Carrasco. That's my only reservation here with the Guardians, because the Jays are going to kind of go with, I guess you could call it a bullpen game. They'll see how far Richards can go, but it's probably going to be Richards, Francis. The one thing they do have going for them here is Jimmy Garcia hasn't pitched in a couple of days, and he's the one Blue Jays reliever. If you watch First Pitch and some of the shows we did earlier in the week, I asked myself two things when it's dealing with the Blue Jays. Who's the starting pitcher? Because their starting pitching has been excellent across the board. And how used up is Garcia? Because he's their one stud reliever. Once you get past him, the bullpen is as bad as it gets. I have them rated, I think, last, right? They're probably a bottom 3, bottom 4 bullpen for me in the league. Whereas the Guardians, their bullpen is fantastic. They do everything right. They do all the little things right. Now, I don't love Carrasco. That's the only thing kind of putting me off here. But I think if he's a veteran, he can survive. If he can survive 5 innings, keep them in this game, I think you have an advantage with the Guardians. So maybe plus money there for Cleveland. Not something I played, but lean Cleveland for me.
So I'm texting Aunt Joyce, letting her know that I'm going to be late for our lunch date on the beach. That's okay. It's getting rained out anyway. So we're going to sit here and talk baseball with Trig. The longer you guys drop questions in the chat, I guess the longer I'm going to be here. Any thoughts on Brewers, Reds, Tigers, Astros? Let's hit both of those games because Rich wants to know, Trig. And also, why don't you have a play up yet? It is noon.
Yeah, no, I'll answer that question first. So for me, I'll go at baseball 2 ways, and it's worked for me. It's, probably a big reason I'm on the run I'm on right now. I'll either put something up very early because I've got something that I've circled that I've had isolated for a couple days that comes up in the, we know when the guy is going to pitch next, right? So guy pitches on Sunday. We know they're pitching probably today, and I'll know if I want to go at that. If none of that happens, I typically like to see lineups or get an idea of what the lineup might be for that day. So I either have stuff up very early, like first thing in the morning, occasionally overnight, or I'll go a little bit later to start trying to get the lineup information before the lineup actually gets posted, because you can, get yourself a little bit of an edge that way. I'll talk about these two. I will give you what I'm looking at, though. I'm probably going to play something today, but that's the reason nothing's up right now. But okay. We'll talk about Reds Brewers real quick.
Listen, this is the trust tree on last call. That Andy has to admit, oh wait, I screwed up. I was third on the show, so I had to change my best bet for the show. Trig's just saying, hey, look, there's a lot of information you want to absorb here, and I am a firm believer. I know that inherently there is a negativity assigned with selling picks, but I like to think we do things differently here at WagerTalk. We do not force plays. We do not just have things up for sale just to have them up.
I'm 15-2. I'm 15-2 in my last 17. If I wanted to sell something, I could sell it right now, no problem. But I'm more focused on here, Kel, I want to throw something out there. For me, I don't know if you feel the same way. For me, when I'm running good as I am right now, it's way easier to pass. I don't know if that's the same way for everyone, but when I'm really locked in, I can throw stuff out easier. I can throw stuff out easier. I can throw stuff out easier than when I'm not seeing it as well. That's just like me. So when I'm real locked in, I'm you know what? I'll give you an example. The Mets was a side, and I'll get to Brewers Reds in a second, but the Mets was a side I really looked at today. Reason being, Adam Mazur is going to pitch for the Padres. He's someone that I felt like they kind of rushed to the big leagues. He was in Double-A toward the end of last year, was having a really good run at Double-A, moved up to Triple-A, which is the natural progression of. He was a second round pick in 2022, so he's pretty young, pretty ahead of schedule. They bring him up to El Paso. He struggles, 7.44 ERA. Guys hitting almost 3. I think 280 was his batting average against, and they had no choice. Yu Darvish goes down, IL, Joe Musgrove, IL, and suddenly this guy's in the big leagues, despite the fact that he was struggling at El Paso. So kind of up by necessity. I mean, he's got very good stuff. I think he's got a high upside, but I'm just not sure that he's a guy that like really belongs at the big league level right now. So, as far as the Mets are concerned, the only reason I'm not on the Mets today is I'm not a huge Jose Quintana guy at this point. I mean, he's a veteran. Like, he'll give you a decent start on occasion. He had a pretty good start against the Guardians, good start against the Dodgers recently. 5.29 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. I feel like that's just what he is at this point in his career. He's going to go out there, eat up innings. There's going to be times where he gets hit hard, but he's the type of veteran that you live with in the rotation. So he's really the only reason that I didn't come out and take a shot on the Mets here, because all the other stuff kind of adds up. The Padres are a little bit worse against left-handed pitching. Quintana's a lefty. Tatis only hitting like 220 against left-handed pitching this year. And, but like you were saying, Kelly, like I kind of threw that out because I'm like, I haven't liked Quintana all year. He's not someone I really want to back. So why do I have to force it, right? Like, it didn't check all the boxes. It checked most of them. I still lean toward the Mets for those reasons, but, I can play tomorrow if I want to, not today. So it's like, that's kind of the reasoning there.
All right, let's hit a couple of these games from the chat. Shout out to our graphics team for making just every single graphic possible, just in case Trey wants to talk about that game. All jokes aside, Phillies, Orioles. Let's see what Boss 49 wants to know.
So I probably would have played Phillies plus 1.5 if it was a little bit cheaper. It's teetering right on the edge of where I would want to jump in with that. So Phillies plus 1.5 is minus 135. I also think there's value on the Phillies on the money line plus 160, just from the respect that, I understand why the market has it priced like this. I've been playing against Taijuan Walker most of the year. So again, there's your reason that it didn't make my card. But you look at these two teams, for me, Grayson Rodriguez, like, he has huge upside, but he still hasn't been like totally lights out. If you can get through the starters here and like you get to the later innings of this game, which these two went into extra innings last night, played a game that probably got done at midnight. So another thing, definitely would want to see lineups here, because you could have guys, out of the lineup for both teams for that reason. But I was shocked to see the Phillies at that kind of plus price. If you get through the starters and this game is tied or a one-run game late in the game, the Orioles bullpen is something I've been willing to play against all season. That's the main weakness of this Orioles team. So I think the plus 1.5 is actually the better bet, and there's more value there, because if you do get to the late innings and you're trailing by one, let's say you are trailing by one, you go into the ninth inning and the Orioles get out of it, game's over. They don't get to bat at the bottom of the ninth. But again, it's a pretty big plus price there for them to just be hanging out on the Phillies. I think there's value on that, but the way I would play it is to take the 1.5, lay the minus 130 or minus 135, because you get that extra at bat, and it should be another close game. Seems like a pretty evenly matched game. Extra innings last night, could see another close one today.
All right, guys, it is noon. I'm going to give you guys 10 more minutes of my time, only because it's still raining. Brewers, Reds. Let's circle back to this one for Anthony.
Yeah, so the Brewers have been surprisingly good when they go with the opener, and it looks like that's what they're going to do here. It's Jared Koenig. He is a reliever, which means he's probably going to go one inning, sometimes not even, and they'll piggyback him with Bryce Wilson, who's been kind of awesome, like in the starter role. That was something I didn't really see happening. So earlier, like maybe like a month ago, Kelly, I was sort of all about playing against Wilson, all about playing against Colin Rhea, like some of these other guys that that the Brewers kind of just thrust into their rotation out of necessity. But I'll tell you what, they've done well, especially, they've done well when they piggyback them after the opener. And it looks like that's what they're going to do here. So the screen has Wilson listed as the starter. I'm pretty sure it's Koenig, but all that means is they're just going to use Koenig for the first inning. They probably saw the Reds lineup and liked how he matched up against the top 3 or 4 hitters. So they'll use him for an inning, and then they'll let Wilson come in. And that's been favorable for the Brewers. I am kicking myself because I feel like I missed the opportunity to play Reds yesterday. But I'm kind of done fading the Brewers when they do this opener type deal. So nothing here for me. But I will point out that the Brewers have had a lot of success using Koenig at the top, and then going with like Wilson for bulk innings, and then using their relievers. They lose a close one last night, so maybe they get it here. I haven't even seen a new money line posted, but I think it'll probably be roughly the same. So I guess Brewers as a slight favorite is a slight lean, but not something that's going to get my money.
All right, let's go to the we'll call it the marquee game. Titan CT, he said earlier, you're always mean to Adam. Now he's saying, lost with the Red Sox as my dog yesterday. Any thoughts for tonight? They take on the New York Yankees. This is one of the most storied rivalries in MLB. I had Kevin Millar on the show on Outkick the other day. He had some really funny stories, Adam. We know our good friend Errol Epstein, big Yankees fan. Give me the winner of this game.
Now, I find it hard to believe the Yankees are just going to stroll into Fenway on the sort of the scheduling run that they're on. Like, it hasn't really been easy for them. They had a really big marquee series last weekend with the Dodgers. They then had to go out to Kansas City, which this year is a different ballgame, Kelly. Kansas City is good. In my opinion, they're one of the better teams in the American League this year. And that was, I know there was a couple blowouts in that series, but certainly not an easy series, and it was 4 days. So no off day on Thursday. They had to play a getaway day game on Thursday, which ended up, going into the 9th inning. I think the Royals finally won one on a walk-off. So I don't think that the Yankees are just going to roll through the Red Sox all weekend long, right? They win 8-1 last night. So now you've got 2 more games in the series. I strongly considered the Red Sox plus the 1.5 here. It's only minus 105. You kind of get that little discount when you play the home team plus 1.5. Criswell has been good enough, in my opinion, to feel like, I know the Yankees lineup is just insane, and it's difficult to bet against them, but Criswell's done enough to at least make me comfortable that he can keep the Red Sox in the game. And then, as good as Carlos Rodon has been, I mean, he's been so hot at this point that you would have to think somewhere along the line for him, there's a blow up. There almost always is. If you go back and look at his career, he's had just fire runs like this in the past, and then he'll just have like the outlier start where he gets slammed for like 7 runs. Most recently, it happened May 2nd at Baltimore, where he just got blown up for like 7 runs in 4 innings. And he hasn't had a start like that since. So, again, that's not the greatest handicap. I haven't bet it yet, but my gut is telling me that Red Sox are going to get one of these next 2, and that maybe tonight is the best spot for that to happen. So maybe the plus 1.5, give yourself the run cushion. I could see it being a far closer game than last night, where the Yankees just kind of boat raced them 8-1. So Red Sox plus 1.5 for me in this one.
I'm taking 2 more questions. Here's one of them. Hugo Renard Kenneth wants to know about the Pirates versus Athletics. If you guys have a question for Trig, drop it in the chat, and I'm going to pick one more. Colorado Rockies plus 1.5. My baseball team that has been absolute garbage. Trig, how come the 2 baseball teams I've rooted for in my life are absolute garbage? The Colorado Rockies and the Chicago White Sox. Like, what did I do to deserve this? No wonder I hate baseball.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, you quite possibly.
They really are.
you may have just identified the 2 worst teams in baseball this year. I mean, it doesn't get much worse, right? Like, they are probably their worst teams in the respective leagues. So I think the viewer that asked the question probably meant Pirates Rockies, not Pirates A's. But I have a pretty big opinion here, and I actually really like this spot for the Rockies. This is one that is, if I play today in Major League Baseball, it very well may be this. So right now, I've watched every game of this series. So this is the second game of a 3-game set out in Denver. These 2 teams played in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. And surprisingly, every game has been very low scoring, which is not something you typically get with the Rockies, especially not at Coors, but also because their bullpen is far and away the worst in the National League. Their starters aren't very good. They give up a lot of runs. So the fact that like all these games have been low scoring tells me, maybe the Padres, for whatever reason, just don't hit Rockies pitching particularly well. And that also doesn't surprise me because the Pirates are, I meant to say the Pirates. The Pirates are not a great team. And they, because of the Paul Skeens, he's up and he's a generational talent. They've gotten more attention. The Pirates are getting treated like a good team right now. I don't think that this is a 500 baseball team this year. So even with the Pirates' recent surge, Kelly, they're 33-36. And I think that's about their ceiling. If you go back to the beginning of the year, this was a team that was like 16, 17-1 to win their division. I think they were 16-1 at one point to win the NL Central. Now I'm on WagerTalk listening to some other guys talk, and we're talking about the Pirates making the playoffs, which I just think is insane. But that's the way a lot of the market is looking at this team. Skeens, stud. Jones, who we'll talk about in a second, he's pitching today. He's another really good pitcher. But in my opinion, they're still at least a year away. So I don't think the Pirates are a contender at all this season. But because they're starting to creep into the discussion, you're getting lines like Pirates on the road laying -170. So I have to ask myself here, can I make a case to take the 1.5 or to take the plus money with the worst team in baseball? I think I can here. So the Rockies have been much better at Coors Field. That's not breaking news. It's almost every year that they're horrible on the road, but they play well in the altitude because they're used to it, right? 8-6 in their last 14 home games this year. They're 13-18 at Coors Field, which doesn't sound great, but when you consider their overall record, 13-18 at Coors, 11-27 on the road, right? That's a pretty big difference. So clearly, the splits favor the Rockies when they play at Coors Field. Now, Jared Jones is the starter here. He's awesome. He's another reason the Pirates probably have a bright future and that people are high on the Pirates. He completely eviscerated this Rockies lineup back in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. 7 innings of 1-hit ball, 7 shutout innings, 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. He's got a 3.27 ERA and a 1.06 whip. But Kelly, this is his first start in Denver. And historically, a guy's first start at altitude tends to be a pretty good fade. I know Tokyo Brandon loves his pitcher out props. I'll tell you what, I doubt Jones is going 7 shutout today. I doubt, he's probably not making it to the 7th inning today. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 5-inning start for him. And that's an issue for the Pirates because yesterday they kind of had to go bullpen game. Luis Ortiz gave him bulk innings, 5 innings, but they used Holderman, Aroldis Chapman, I think threw 25 pitches. So you have to wonder, if he's even available here. I know they don't love throwing him on back-to-back days, especially after a long outing like that. David Bednar came in for the save. Again, another tight game. It was a 5-2 final, another pretty, competitive game. So that leads me to believe that this could be the game the Rockies win. So far this series, the plus 1.5 is 2-2. So the Rockies are 1-3, but one of those games was a 1-0 loss where they covered the plus 1.5, and it's been -105 competitive, priced every single time. So I think this is probably a close game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Rockies steal one here. So plus 1.5 with the Rockies is probably the strongest thing I see on the baseball board today. Was hoping to catch a lineup before I locked it in. But yeah, Ty Block is a guy that he's starting for the Rockies. He seems to be one of those guys that's good at in altitude. The Rockies always seem to find one that probably wouldn't be on many big league rosters, but they tend to be okay at altitude and they keep him around. And that's sort of what Block's been for them. So it all looks like everything's sort of pointing to the Rockies here for me. I just got to decide if it'll make my client card or not. But Rockies plus 1.5 seems like a pretty strong bet.
Good news. During that breakdown, Jimmy Burke 13, I found my aunt a new house on Zillow. So it was a great success. We finally got to the answer of Rockies plus 1.5, and Aunt Joyce is getting a new condo down on Siesta Key. Trig, I had 2 more questions I was going to take, but.
Well, you found the game that I had the strongest opinion on. So that's the chat's fault.
Here's what's going to happen. We've got 3 questions we need to answer, and I need rapid fire, no breakdown.
Okay.
Nationals, Marlins. Who's winning?
Over.
Over.
I would fade the pitchers in that game.
Dodgers, Next. Twins. In a parlay, yes or no? Are they
both
both
Dodgers, Twins. The Twins crush bad teams, so
no,
I would probably.
No.
I wouldn't make that parlay.
Too chalky.
I'll
Rangers.
I'll say too
Mariners.
Chalky. No to that parlay.
Rangers, Mariners. Who wins?
Slight lean Mariners.
Okay. Guys, he is Adam Trigger, Top Flight SI. I am Kelly Stewart. This has been WagerTalk's last call. You guys can go get Triggs baseball plays, WT.buzz /AT. He has been on absolute fire over the last couple of weeks. I think it was 31, 16, and 2, and then 15 and 2 over his last 17. So glad Trig is killing it on the diamond. Shout out to Ronald Cabang, Andy Lang, Carmine Bianco, Adam Trigger, our two producers, Joe Ranieri, Dan Newbert, for hanging out with us here today on Wager Talk's last call. Back here next Saturday, and probably each and every Saturday for the foreseeable future, except while I'm in Italy with Ariel Epstein. We love you guys. Appreciate you always hanging out, making the show so interactive in the chat box. And hopefully we found you guys some winners on this beautiful Saturday morning. Good luck on all of your bets, and we'll see you next week.